Thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us about your background before your near-death experience? Of course. My name is Sarah, I'm 42 years old, and I work as a high school science teacher in a small town in Ohio. About 6 months ago, I had an experience that completely changed my life and my perspective on everything. I died for several minutes and had what I can only describe as an incredible journey to heaven. That sounds intense. Can you walk us through what happened? It was a normal Saturday afternoon. I was out for a jog in my neighborhood when suddenly I felt a sharp pain in my chest. Before I knew it, I collapsed on the sidewalk. Later I found out I had suffered a massive heart attack due to an undiagnosed congenital heart defect. A neighbor saw me fall and called 911. By the time the paramedics arrived, my heart had stopped beating. They worked on me for over 10 minutes, trying to revive me with CPR and defibrillation. During that time, I was clinically dead. That must have been terrifying. What do you remember experiencing during those moments? It's hard to put into words, but I felt an incredible sense of peace wash over me. One moment I was in agonizing pain on the sidewalk, and the next I felt myself floating above my body. I could see the paramedics working on me, but I felt completely detached from it all. Then I was enveloped in the most beautiful, warm light I've ever seen. It was brighter than the sun, but it didn't hurt my eyes at all. I felt drawn towards it, like it was gently pulling me in. As I moved closer, I saw a figure standing in the light. It was Jesus. I knew it was him instantly, even though I'd never seen him before. That's amazing. What happened next? Jesus reached out his hand to me and smiled. His love was overwhelming. I've never felt so completely accepted and cherished. He told me it wasn't my time yet, that I still had work to do on earth. But he wanted to show me a glimpse of what awaits those who believe in him. In an instant, we were transported to the most beautiful place I've ever seen. The colors were more vivid than anything on earth. There were rolling hills covered in lush grass and flowers of every color. A crystal-clear river flowed nearby, and I could see a magnificent city in the distance with towers that seemed to touch the sky. It sounds breathtaking. Did Jesus explain anything about what you were seeing? Yes, he walked with me and showed me around. He told me this was just a small taste of what heaven is like. He explained that in heaven, we'll have real, physical bodies, not ghostly forms like some people imagine. Our bodies will be perfect and free from any pain or illness. He showed me the tree of life, which produces the most amazing fruit I've ever tasted. Jesus said it bears a different fruit each month, and its leaves bring healing. I saw people from all nations gathered around it, completely healthy and full of joy. That's fascinating. Did you recognize anyone there? I did. I saw my grandmother who had passed away years ago. She looked young and vibrant, nothing like the frail woman I remember from her last days. Jesus explained that in heaven, we'll be reunited with our loved ones who believed in him. We'll also get to meet heroes of the faith from the Bible. I saw people sitting and talking with Abraham, Moses, and David. Everyone was laughing and sharing stories. It was like the most incredible family reunion you could imagine. It sounds like there's a lot of activity in heaven. What else did Jesus show you? He showed me people building the most incredible houses I've ever seen. They were working together, using materials I've never seen before to create these magnificent structures. Jesus explained that in heaven, we'll have the ability to create and build, to express our creativity in ways we can't even imagine now. I also saw the most beautiful gardens. People were tending to plants and trees, harvesting fruits and vegetables. But it wasn't laborious like work on earth. Everyone seemed to be really enjoying it. There were no weeds or pests, and the produce was perfect. That's incredible. Did you see any animals? Yes, and that was one of the most amazing parts. I saw lions laying down with lambs, children playing with bears and tigers. All the animals were peaceful and friendly. Jesus explained that in heaven, there will be no more violence or fear between humans and animals, or even among the animals themselves. I remember seeing people riding on the backs of dolphins in the crystal-clear river, others flying through the air with eagles. It was like all of creation was in perfect harmony. It sounds like a place of incredible peace and joy. How did you feel during all of this? I felt an overwhelming sense of love and belonging. There was no fear, no worry, no sadness. Every moment was filled with pure joy and wonder. I didn't want to leave. But the most profound part was being in the presence of Jesus. His love was so tangible, so all-encompassing. I understood then that the greatest joy of heaven isn't the beauty or the activities, it's being in perfect communion with God. That's beautiful. How did your experience end? Jesus told me it was time for me to go back. He said he had shown me these things so I could share hope with others. He reminded me that what I had seen was just a glimpse. The reality of heaven is even more wonderful than we can imagine. In an instant, I felt myself being pulled back. I heard the paramedic shout, "We've got a pulse," and suddenly I was back in my body, gasping for air. They rushed me to the hospital, where I spent several days recovering. How has this experience changed you? It's changed everything. I no longer fear death. I know it's just a doorway to something far more beautiful. I have a new appreciation for life, too. I try to live each day with purpose, knowing that my actions here have eternal significance. I also have an urgency to share what I've seen with others. I want everyone to know that heaven is real, and it's more wonderful than we can imagine. But most importantly, I want people to know Jesus. He's the key to it all. His love is what makes heaven, heaven. Could you tell us more about what Jesus revealed regarding the activities in heaven? Absolutely. One of the things that surprised me most was how active and engaging heaven is. It's not just sitting on clouds playing harps, as some people imagine. Jesus showed me that there will be so many amazing things to do and experience. For example, he showed me people exploring the universe. In heaven, we'll have the ability to travel to distant galaxies, to see stars and planets up close. Our minds will be so much sharper, able to understand the mysteries of the cosmos in ways we can't even comprehend now. I saw people diving into the depths of oceans, discovering incredible underwater landscapes and creatures we've never seen before. There was no need for equipment. We could breathe underwater and withstand any pressure. Jesus also showed me huge libraries filled with books containing all the knowledge of the universe. People were eagerly learning, discussing ideas, and making new discoveries. It was like the ultimate university, but without any stress or competition, just pure joy in learning and growing. That's fascinating. It sounds like heaven will be a place of continuous growth and discovery. Did Jesus show you anything about how people interact with each other in heaven? Yes, and it was beautiful to see. The relationships in heaven are so much deeper and more meaningful than anything we experience on earth. There's no jealousy, no misunderstandings, no conflicts. Everyone communicates with perfect love and understanding. I saw people from all different cultures and time periods interacting, sharing their stories and experiences. There was so much laughter and joy in these interactions. It was like the barriers that often divide us on earth, language, culture, race, were completely gone. Everyone was united in their love for God and for each other. Jesus explained that in heaven, we'll have eternity to build relationships, not just with other people, but with Him and with God the Father. He showed me people in deep, intimate conversation with God, asking questions and receiving wisdom directly from the source of all knowledge. That sounds incredible. You mentioned earlier about building and creating in heaven. Can you elaborate on that? Of course. Jesus showed me that in heaven, our creativity will be unleashed in ways we can't even imagine now. I saw people painting with colors that don't exist on earth, creating music that seemed to come alive in the air around them. There were huge workshops where people were inventing and building incredible things. But it wasn't like work as we know it. There was no stress, no deadlines, just the pure joy of creation. Jesus explained that we'll be able to fully express the creative nature that God has given us, without any of the limitations we face on earth. I saw people collaborating on massive projects, building cities, sculpting landscapes, even creating new worlds. It was like our imagination could become reality. Jesus said that just as God is the ultimate creator, we'll be able to participate in creation in amazing ways. That's mind-blowing. It seems like heaven will be a place of constant wonder and new experiences. Did Jesus say anything about how time works in heaven? That's a great question. Jesus explained that in heaven, we won't experience time the same way we do on earth. There's no night and day cycle, no aging, no deadlines or schedules to keep. He showed me that every moment in heaven is full and rich. There's no boredom, no wasted time. You can spend what might seem like years exploring a distant galaxy or having a conversation with a biblical hero, but you'll never feel like you're missing out on anything else. Jesus said that in heaven, we'll be able to fully enjoy the eternal nature of God. We'll always have more to explore, more to learn, more to create, without ever feeling rushed or stressed about time. That's amazing. It addresses a concern some people have about heaven being boring or repetitive. Speaking of concerns, did Jesus address any other common misconceptions about heaven? Yes, he did. One thing he emphasized is that heaven isn't a disembodied, ethereal existence. We'll have real, physical bodies, perfect versions of our earthly bodies. We'll be able to touch, taste, smell, see, and hear with senses far more acute than what we have now. He also showed me that heaven isn't just one place, it's expanding. I saw Jesus preparing new places, just as he promised in the Bible. He explained that as more people come to believe in him, he creates new spaces in heaven for them, each one unique and perfect for that individual. Another misconception he addressed is the idea that we'll somehow lose our individuality in heaven. He showed me that the opposite is true. In heaven, we become more fully ourselves than we ever could be on earth. All the things that make us unique, our personalities, our interests, our talents, are perfected and magnified. That's really encouraging. Now, you mentioned earlier about the tree of life and its fruit. Can you tell us more about that? Certainly. The tree of life was one of the most amazing things Jesus showed me. It was enormous, with branches that seemed to reach endlessly into the sky. Its leaves were a vibrant green that seemed to shimmer with life. The fruit of the tree of life was unlike anything I've ever seen or tasted. Each month, it produces a different kind of fruit. When I tasted it, it was like experiencing every good flavor I've ever known, all at once, but magnified 1,000 times. It was indescribably delicious. But it wasn't just about the taste. Jesus explained that the fruit of the tree of life imparts health and vitality. Eating it keeps our heavenly bodies in perfect condition. And the leaves of the tree, he said, bring healing to the nations. I saw people taking these leaves to earth, using them to bring physical and spiritual healing. That's incredible. It seems like everything in heaven has a deeper purpose. Did Jesus show you anything about how heaven connects with earth? Yes, and this was one of the most surprising parts of what he showed me. Heaven isn't completely separate from earth. I saw people in heaven watching events on earth, praying for their loved ones who were still alive. Jesus showed me how the prayers of people in heaven join with the prayers of believers on earth, creating a powerful spiritual force. He explained that those in heaven are very much aware of what's happening on earth and are actively involved in God's ongoing work of redemption. I also saw preparations being made for the time when heaven and earth will be joined together. Jesus showed me glimpses of what the Bible calls the new heaven and new earth, a future time when God will dwell fully with his people and the entire creation will be renewed. That's fascinating. It gives a whole new perspective on the connection between heaven and earth. Now, you mentioned earlier about animals in heaven. Can you tell us more about that? Absolutely. The animals in heaven were amazing to see. There were species I recognized and others that I'd never seen before, perhaps extinct animals or even new creations. What struck me most was how peaceful all the animals were. I saw lions laying down with lambs, just like the Bible describes. There was no fear, no predator-prey relationship. All the animals seemed to have a level of intelligence and awareness that we don't see on Earth. I remember seeing a little girl riding on the back of a huge tiger, both of them completely at ease. There were dolphins swimming alongside people in the river, eagles soaring with people through the sky. It was like the barrier between humans and animals had been completely removed. Jesus explained that in heaven, we'll be able to communicate with animals in ways we can't even imagine now. They're part of God's creation, and in heaven, we'll be able to fully appreciate and interact with them as God intended. That sounds wonderful. It's clear that heaven is a place of incredible peace and harmony. Did Jesus say anything about how we can prepare for heaven while we're still on earth? Yes, he emphasized this quite a bit. He said that while heaven is a free gift, we can't earn our way there. How we live on earth does matter. He encouraged me to live each day with an eternal perspective, knowing that our actions here have consequences in eternity. Jesus said that the best way to prepare for heaven is to grow in our relationship with him now. He encouraged me to spend time in prayer, to study the Bible, and to actively seek to know him better. He said that the more we know him on earth, the more fully we'll be able to enjoy heaven. He also emphasized the importance of loving others and sharing the good news about him. He showed me how every act of kindness, every time we share our faith, creates ripples that extend into eternity. Jesus said that while we can't fully imagine the glory of heaven, we can experience tastes of it on earth, in moments of worship, in deep relationships, in experiencing the beauty of nature. He encouraged me to look for these glimpses of heaven in my daily life. That's beautiful advice. It seems like your experience has given you a unique perspective on life and eternity. How has it changed your daily life? It's changed everything. I wake up each day with a sense of purpose and excitement that I never had before. Knowing what awaits us in heaven gives me courage to face the challenges of life on earth. I find myself looking at people differently, seeing them as eternal beings, precious to God. It's made me more patient, more loving, more willing to forgive. After all, the person who annoys me today might be my neighbor in heaven for eternity. I also find myself much less attached to material things. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the good things in life. But I hold them loosely, knowing that what awaits us in heaven is far greater than anything we can possess here. Most importantly, it's deepened my relationship with Jesus. Knowing Him, loving Him, serving Him, that's what life is all about. Everything else flows from that relationship. Thank you for sharing that. Your experience is truly inspiring. For our viewers who might be skeptical about near-death experiences, what would you say to them? I understand the skepticism. Before this happened to me, I might have been skeptical too. I'm a science teacher, after all. I like evidence and logical explanations. But I would encourage skeptics to keep an open mind. There are so many accounts of near-death experiences from people all over the world, from different cultures and religions. While the details might vary, there are striking similarities in many of these accounts. I would also say that the impact of my experience is, in itself, evidence of its reality. It has completely transformed my life in ways I never could have imagined. The peace, joy, and purpose I now have are beyond anything I've ever known. But ultimately, I don't expect anyone to believe just based on my word. I encourage people to seek the truth for themselves. Explore the evidence, read accounts of other near-death experiences, and most importantly, seek a relationship with Jesus. He's the one who can truly confirm the reality of heaven in your heart. You mentioned earlier about worship in heaven. Can you tell us more about what that looks like? Absolutely. Worship in heaven is unlike anything we experience on earth. It's not confined to a specific time or place, it's a constant state of being. Everything in heaven glorifies God, and everyone there is continually aware of His presence and goodness. Jesus showed me vast gatherings where millions of people from every nation, tribe, and tongue were praising God together. The music was indescribably beautiful, more complex and rich than the greatest symphony on earth, yet also more pure and simple. Colors danced in the air as people sang, and the ground itself seemed to vibrate with joy. But worship isn't just about singing. I saw people worshiping through their creative acts, a painter glorifying God through her art, a scientist praising Him through exploration and discovery. Every activity in heaven is an act of worship because it's all done in loving response to God. Jesus explained that in heaven, we'll have a much fuller understanding of who God is and what He's done. This deepened knowledge fuels our worship. It's not obligatory or routine, it's the natural overflow of hearts fully alive and aware of God's glory. That's beautiful. It seems like joy is a huge part of the heaven experience. Can you elaborate on that? Yes, the joy in heaven is overwhelming. It's not just happiness or pleasure as we know it on earth, it's deeper, richer, more complete. There's a constant sense of delight and wonder at everything around you. Jesus showed me that this joy comes from a few sources. First, there's the joy of being fully known and fully loved by God. On earth, we often hide parts of ourselves, fearing rejection. In heaven, we're fully exposed before God and others, yet fully accepted and cherished. It's incredibly freeing. There's also the joy of continuous discovery and growth. In heaven, we never stop learning, never stop experiencing new things. Each new discovery about God, about His creation, about each other, brings a fresh wave of joy. And there's the joy of perfect relationships. In heaven, there's no misunderstanding, no conflict, no betrayal. We love each other with the same love God has for us. The depth of these relationships brings a level of joy we can barely imagine on earth. It sounds amazing. Now, you mentioned earlier about there being no more tears or pain in heaven. Can you tell us more about that? Yes, this was one of the most comforting things Jesus showed me. In heaven, all the sources of sorrow and pain we experience on earth are gone. There's no sickness, no death, no broken relationships, no sin. I saw Jesus Himself wiping away tears from people's eyes as they entered heaven. These were tears of past sorrows, and as He wiped them away, it was as if the memories of pain were healed. The hurts were not forgotten, but they no longer had any power to cause distress. Jesus explained that in heaven, we have a perspective that allows us to see how God worked all things, even the painful things, for good. This understanding brings deep peace and even gratitude for the difficult experiences of earthly life. But it's not just the absence of bad things, it's the presence of all good things. There's a constant sense of comfort, security, and rightness that permeates everything in heaven. It's like finally being home after a long, difficult journey. Jesus also emphasized that what we'll experience in heaven is beyond anything we can imagine. As the Bible says, "Eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for those who love him. That's incredibly comforting. Now, you've talked a lot about the wonderful things in heaven. Was there anything that surprised you or wasn't what you expected? Yes, there were quite a few surprises. One thing that caught me off guard was the sense of humor in heaven. I saw so much laughter, so much playfulness. Jesus himself has the most delightful sense of humor. It made me realize that joy and laughter are essential parts of God's character. Another surprise was the diversity in heaven. I expected to see people from different earthly cultures, but the variety went far beyond that. There were beings I can only describe as angels, each unique and breathtakingly beautiful. There were creatures that seemed to be from other worlds, things I have no earthly words to describe. I was also surprised by how physical heaven felt. I could feel the grass under my feet, taste the fruit, feel the wind on my face. It wasn't some vague, ghostly realm, it was more real, more solid than anything I've experienced on earth. That's fascinating. It challenges a lot of our preconceptions about heaven. Now, I have to ask, did you see any famous historical figures or biblical characters? Yes, I did. It was incredible. I saw Moses teaching a group about the deeper meanings behind the law. I saw King David composing new psalms of praise. I even caught a glimpse of Einstein deep in discussion with the Apostle Paul about the nature of time and eternity. But what struck me was that there was no hierarchy or celebrity culture. Everyone, from the most well-known biblical hero to the most obscure saint, was equally valued and loved. They were all eager to share their stories and experiences, but also eager to learn from others. I remember seeing a woman I didn't recognize in deep conversation with Mary, the mother of Jesus. The love and mutual respect between them was beautiful to see. Jesus explained that in heaven, we'll have eternity to build relationships with everyone there, to learn from each other's unique experiences with God. That's amazing. It sounds like heaven is a place of continuous learning and growth. Did Jesus say anything about our purpose or roles in heaven? Yes, and this was one of the most exciting parts for me. Jesus made it clear that heaven isn't a place of passive rest, but of active participation in God's ongoing work. He showed me people being given what he called kingdom assignments, specific tasks or roles that align perfectly with their God-given passions and abilities. Some were creating new things, others were teaching, others were involved in the governance of different parts of heaven. I saw people being sent on missions to other parts of the universe, exploring and bringing God's light to new realms. Others were involved in the continual expansion of heaven itself, helping to prepare places for new arrivals. Jesus explained that as we grow in our knowledge of God and in our abilities, our responsibilities grow too. In heaven, work is never burdensome, it's always a joy, always meaningful, always in partnership with God and others. He also showed me how our earthly lives prepare us for our heavenly roles. The character we develop, the skills we learn, the unique experiences we have, all of these shape our eternal destinies. It made me realize how significant our choices and actions on earth really are. That's profound. It gives a whole new perspective on the importance of how we live our lives now. As we near the end of our interview, is there anything else you'd like to share about your experience? Yes, there's one thing I feel is crucial to emphasize. Throughout my entire experience, from the moment I saw Jesus to all the wonders he showed me in heaven, one thing was consistently clear: it's all about relationship with him. The beauty of heaven, the joy, the peace, the fascinating activities, all of it flows from being in perfect relationship with God. Jesus made it clear that he is the way to this incredible eternal life. His sacrifice on the cross, his resurrection, these make it possible for us to be forgiven, to be made right with God, and to experience the wonders of heaven. He urged me to tell people that this isn't just a nice story or a comforting idea, it's reality, and it's available to everyone who puts their trust in him. He's inviting everyone to know him, to follow him, and to spend eternity with him in a place more wonderful than we can imagine. Your experience is truly awe-inspiring. One last question: how would you encourage our viewers to respond to what they've heard today? I would encourage everyone to take this seriously. Don't dismiss it, but don't just take my word for it either. Investigate for yourself. Read the Bible, particularly what it says about Jesus and about heaven. Look into other near-death experiences. But most importantly, reach out to Jesus yourself. You don't have to have a near-death experience to know him or to be sure of your eternal destiny. He's as close as a prayer. Talk to him, invite him into your life. Ask him to reveal himself to you. And if you already have a relationship with Jesus, let this be an encouragement to draw even closer to him. Live with eternity in mind. Let the reality of heaven shape how you think, how you treat others, how you use your time and resources. Remember, heaven is not just a destination, it's a present reality that we can experience in part right now through our relationship with Jesus. The more we know him now, the more fully we'll enjoy heaven for all eternity. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your incredible experience with us. I'm sure our viewers have been deeply impacted by your story. Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure to share. I pray that everyone listening will experience the love and joy of Jesus, both in this life and in the eternal life to come.